Hello. Oh, I think I cut off the end of the music, but never mind. Hello. Welcome,
Hello.
everyone. Welcome to the Running is BS live show. We're just going to give it a little bit of time for people to join in because people are going to be late. People got other things to do, and we'll start the actual episode-y bit soon. Amy, how are you? You ready for this?
Yeah, I was just thinking, this is very 2020, isn't
it?
This is what we should have done for the original live show, which we did during COVID.
Yeah, perhaps. Well, we actually used to. I remember we actually used to record this in person, which is weird.
We did it for until the pandemic.
I mean, it was always me coming to you, obviously, because
Yeah. And getting parking tickets for parking on my flat.
Fucking don't. I'm still not happy about that. Well, yeah, welcome everyone. This is the first night without football in about 8 months. So hopefully everyone's up for something a little bit different. That's nice. And you get to watch us reading aloud for the next hour or so. We do have guests on the way as well. Don't worry about that. Let's just see if there's any comments have started to come in. Hello, Mark. Hello, Martin. Oh, Martin's in from Germany, so that's already some international. If you are international, we want to know about you a little bit more, obviously, because that's more interesting to us. Danny says, hola to you, Danny. Hopefully you're recovering. I have to have just seen you've had some hernia surgery this morning.
This morning?
Yeah, he's probably off his tits on something, so he'll have a great time. All right. Hello, Claire. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll just give it a little bit longer. Lee Wood is with us. He says, good evening, sitting naked in his front room, I'm certain. Hello, Brian as well, and Helen and Karen. Karen's in Australia, I think, as well. So she says, good morning. Way, because time zones. Great fun. Oh, and Freya's in as well.
Who's that?
That's your one.
Oh.
Will this be the first episode she's ever listened to or watched or taken part in any way?
Yeah, she says she prefers just to listen to it in the background so she can only hear my part.
Wow. Hello from Norfolk. That's basically a different country, so thank you very much, Pete. I'm allowed to say that I'm from Norfolk. Becca is there as well, and Elizabeth and Carl. Danny says he's off his man boobs. Good to hear. Ian Thompson. Yep, Freya confirms she's never taken part in the podcast before. Fantastic. Right. I think that'll probably just about do. So we'll get on with the proper bit of the podcast, and then we'll just edit all this bit out for next week, so you don't have to listen to that on the proper thing. Amy, kick us off in the traditional way.
Let's go. Welcome to Running is Bullshit. I'm Amy.
And I'm Stuart, and you're listening to the podcast that loves to hate running. Listening or watching or the podcast that loves to hate running. It's episode 100, and we're streaming live on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. So welcome to everyone watching. Please leave us comments, ask us questions. We'll do our best to get to them at various points throughout the show. Apologies to all the listeners who aren't watching, but you can always stop here and go back and watch it if you want, because you've already downloaded the episodes. We've got our download, so that's all that really matters.
Yep, and we'll have a few guests dropping in, so please comment with your questions for the guests as well, and hopefully you'll get time for a few of them. And if you're on Twitter or YouTube, add your name as well, because I don't think it comes up. We might just see your username on YouTube, so if you've got a weird or offensive username, maybe just put your real name at the end, unless you want to be anonymous.
That's right. They're all coming through at the moment, so that's good. We've also got a few listeners from Cork and from Poland. Princess and Agatha, that is lovely. Ian Thompson's already hoping for a live sing-along. Gonna let you down. We'll try and get to your questions, but there's only me here while I'm reading to read your questions, because we were going to have help, but we got let down by someone. We're not going to mention who
we got let down by several people.
let's not go into that too much.
It wasn't just one singular person. It was several
people. Going to help us out did withdraw, so never mind. So we'll try and get to your comments if we can. It does help fill the time, if nothing else. Amy, we've done 100 episodes, and it kind of does sound like a lot. And also because we've been a slightly casual fortnightly affair, very casual. It's taken over 4 years for us to get to this point, and I just thought about everything that's happened to us in that time. We've both started new relationships. You've got married. I got divorced. Those were unrelated incidents. Don't worry about that. You moved house. We've now got 3 dogs between us, and your mum lives in a van.
Yeah, a lot has happened.
There's a lot going on. And you moved house as well.
Yeah, I didn't just move house. I bought a house. I bought my first house. So yeah, but The scary thing is, might be my longest ever commitment, and I'm not
Oh.
even that committed to this. So
I mean, no, you're really not.
I use the term commitment like really loosely.
Your longest ever relationship?
Yeah.
Oh,
I have a relationship with myself.
well,
Not
a
really.
bit more on that one.
Quite the abusive relationship.
Oh, certainly, absolutely. We'll be bringing in a few people over the course of the episode, names that should be familiar to you all. But first, Amy, you know we have to talk about this first. Have you got any little festive beverages there?
Well, I don't know whether it's supposed to be festive. I have treacle sponge, which is a green tea. I think I've spoken about this before, actually. I was in like a mad rush to get ready for this because I couldn't be late, which I usually am for the podcast. I'm usually like, oh, I'm just going to be 20 minutes late. But I couldn't I was late anyway, wasn't I? Because I was supposed to be logged on at
that was great. Like
but
4
I was
minutes
actually
before.
I only logged in at 5:02. But I was so I grabbed some tea because I drank all my calendar tea. My today's calendar tea, so I couldn't use that.
The Burn Blend,
yeah,
Advent calendar there. Enjoying it very much.
Yeah,
I won't go about it too much.
Milk oolong chai today, which was really
Lovely.
nice. So I was going to save one, but I ended up drinking both. So yeah, I've got treacle sponge, which I'm sure I spoke about a couple of weeks ago, so I won't go into too much detail. But I feel like it's quite Christmassy. It's cake, so cake's Christmassy.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. How about you?
I'm gone Christmassy. I haven't gone tea. I've gone with mulled cider. I've been making that. I've gone risky for the live episode. I thought I'm gonna drink for the live episode. So I've got a little thermos here with the rest of it. So I've got plenty to keep me going. So
thermos.
But it's warm. So by the end of the episode, I might be reading a little bit worse than usual. Sorry everyone who wants to skip the tea part. If anyone else has got any nice teas, or if anyone else drinking to console themselves, of course we need to know about that as well.
Yeah, definitely. So
sorry, no, Danny. Sorry, no, we're not going to do the slurp sound either. And sorry, Matt, you can't skip the tea bit. I apologise for that.
No, we've got a captive audience. No, captured audience. Okay, so catch up from last episode. We've had a message from Jen Harding about I spoke about last episode the t-shirt I bought, that rather cringy phrase on the back, which I now know is apparently part of Innovate's marketing.
Yeah, they're quite keen on it, aren't they?
Yeah, which I didn't know but then again, I don't really buy much Innovate stuff, but I didn't know that was their whole spiel. It just felt a bit like.
I mean, it's not that good a phrase.
No, it's so arrogant. Anyway, so Jen Harding got in touch and said, true story, I cut off the cardboard box from my first pair of Innovates and stuck it on the wall at my bedroom in my parents' house, where I occasionally visit, because I found it really inspiring. It's still there and reminds me that obsessed is a word that the lazy used to describe the dedicated.
Wow, she actually put it on the wall. And yes, a couple of you have had their Innovates recently and sent us that. And yeah, it's on the inside of the shoebox.
I'm not rich enough to afford Innovates, so I wouldn't know.
That's very sad for you. But if you did, you would cut it out and stick it on the wall like a teenager.
I feel like stuck to a bedroom wall out of the sight of other people is probably the best place for it, rather than on your back while you're running down the street doing 14-minute miles, like really struggling, and somebody's like, yeah, of course, you're really dedicated.
I am dedicated.
Yeah.
You lazy person. Look at all you, the lazy out there.
Yeah.
The lazy. Well, perhaps there's something else we can ask for, perhaps for the next episode, because it'd be too long to put it here. Any cringy new runner things or mistakes you made? I'm pretty sure we asked about this at some point, but we've got to do it again. Cringy new things that you did. Amy, did you do anything particularly cringy as a new runner, or are you still doing them?
The thing is, I struggle to think of any, which makes me believe that I am probably still doing them. But the one thing I did think of, and I know it's going to set a lot of people off, is that jogging on the spot while waiting to cross the road or whatever. Just jogging.
A lot of people still do that.
Why? It doesn't matter.
A lot of people still do that.
Keep your heart rate up. Like, that actually matters. Like, unless you're like a pro athlete or something.
Yeah, for that 15 seconds, you don't want to drop below whatever heart rate.
Yeah. So that's something that I used to do, and I still see some people doing. I'm like, noob.
Yeah. Well, I can say I definitely ran early park runs in jogging bottoms, and I can show you that there. Look at that.
Look at those. They're like flared.
Yeah, I think they've got little zips at the bottom. I'm pretty sure the zips would be done up there, but Yeah, they do kind of flap out a bit. It doesn't even look like it's that cold. And also running in a football top, especially, old replica football tops are the worst thing to run in because they rub everywhere and it's just like wearing a plastic bag. They're basically just made of plastic.
Yeah, it's not a good look, I'm afraid.
Not a good look. I'll take that away. I mean, it's kind of weird that in a way the jogging bottoms are newbie because they're literally called jogging bottoms. I'm not really sure why, because you're not supposed to jog in them.
No, they're not very aerodynamic, are they?
Wait, I don't think aerodynamics particularly comes into it in 28-minute park runs. I don't think we're not really going for the marginal gains. I'm not the Olympic cycling team. Well, speaking of advent calendars, good news for next year, everyone. The running advent calendar, it does exist. I mean, we joked about it, and it is just as weird as we thought it would be. So thanks to Claris Runs and My Purple Spatula and Leona Batten for sending this in. Bimble, do a running advent calendar. I'm not quite sure how big that is, but it must be a decent size because it contains things like shoelaces and snacks, as well as bib clips, a resistance band, and bath salts. So, that's not bad. There's quite a few in there that still say to be confirmed, which doesn't inspire confidence when you're buying an advent calendar and 3 or 4 of the doors are like, well, we'll find something. The best thing about it is what we joked about is true. The socks do come separately. So on day 1, you get your first sock. Day 2, you get a protein bite. Day 3, you get the other sock.
If you're going to have your socks in separate doors, like they need to be one after another. It's just on day 2, you're sat with like one sock on, the other foot getting cold and just like nibbling on a protein bite,
Just like, I need to wait till tomorrow to get my other sock.
No laces in your trainers. You got one sock on, no lace. You can't even go for a run yet. It's supposed to be a running advent calendar. You don't have the essentials to go for a run.
Perhaps you can, assemble your own shoe. The sole and the tongue. You have to stitch it together yourself. So, that's an idea for next year, maybe, if you're really into advent calendars. You just want to get one to someone else.
I mean, it's not awful. Like,
it's not awful. No, actually, to be fair. Yeah, to be fair, the things in there are pretty good.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting a sock and some shoelaces and the other sock.
One shoelace and then the other shoelace,
Yeah, it's not too bad. We had an email from Elliot Line on a similar theme. He said, a few years ago, my wife bought me a running advent calendar. On some days, I was given instructions to do 5 sit-ups or 10 jumping jacks or to get a good night's sleep.
Oh, that's lovely. It's like a well-being advent calendar.
That's not an advent calendar. Like advent instructions.
They shouldn't tell you to do stuff. They're supposed to give you stuff.
I can't imagine anything worse. Like,
they're supposed to slowly give you things that you've bought for an inflated price. That's the point of an advent calendar.
Yeah, not 5 jumping jacks. Jesus. A good night's sleep's a great one. Like, make sure you get a good night's sleep. Like,
also, just 5 setups. I mean, it's not doing that much for you, is it?
He said, whilst on other days, I earned small pieces of metal to eventually put together to form this. I think we have a photo. That is horrific. Oh, I know your wife meant well, but that is the tackiest thing I've ever seen.
That is horrible.
I'm sorry. List.
But yeah, it's got like a little, I think it's like a little water bottle, a Santa hat, a little timer, a Christmas pudding, some shoes, and some headphones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm on the nice list, and I still believe, and just lots of dangly things off the medal. Like, I'm sorry, but that's really horrible.
It's horrific. He said it's still, it takes its place alongside all my proper medals.
Oh, well, you earned that. You deserve it.
I think on the final day, I'd be opening that final door and chucking it in the bin.
It's a big medal to hang all the little shit ones off. Great.
Yeah, great.
Oh,
that must be the worst advent calendar ever. You're being told to do all these things, and at the end, you just get a shit medal.
Not even any food. So perhaps that's another good thing we can look at for next year. Not that we want to take the piss out of small races or anything, but if you've got any particularly funny medals, I would love to see them. Like, I've got a few that are like kids sports day medals, definitely. And that just kind of amuses me. You get to the end of a really hard race and they give you like this really shit medal. You're like, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I think I don't know, would I rather have a really shit medal or a really good medal?
Sometimes the good medals are too good. You know,
they're too flashy.
Like the virtual races, and you're basically buying a place for the medal, and the medal is insane. Like, it's got all these, it's more intricate than like a pocket watch, it's got all these little moving parts, and it opens up and then you form it into like another thing. Like, do you know what I mean? You see, I sometimes get the adverts on Instagram and it's just like some crazy medal and you run 5K for it. I'm like, I feel like I need to do more than 5K for this. I feel like I need to do a year's worth of like work for this. It's insane.
Yeah, I do have a medal that opens up and it's a compass inside. That was from the
Wow.
Gdynia half marathon, and it also has, I think, like a little kind of replica like jewel in the top. So you open up and it's a compass. And the best thing is, I didn't even do that race because it got cancelled.
Oh.
But they sent me the bag and the t-shirt and the medal anyway. So
Is
that's
that what
one
you
of my...
take on ultras? You know, when the ultras on the kit, you've
Yeah.
got to take a compass. You take
I've
like a
got it
massive
around the
medal.
neck. Like, let me just open my medal. Ah, yes, it's a shit compass that may or may not point in the right direction. Amy, what's your bullshit this week? You been up to anything?
Not really. No. I went for a
cool.
run this morning and it was really cold. It's really cold. That's it. I wore a hat and everything. I wore a hat and gloves.
Well, like a bobble hat.
Yeah, but I wear a bobble hat. Yeah. When it gets to 0, I check my weather app and I say, right, it's 0. The bobble hat comes out. And also, I wore shorts. This is the thing. I wear shorts and then gloves and a bobble hat as well. So, and Pippin came with me, and Pippin had to wear a little coat as well. It was like,
oh, that's cute though.
Yeah. She was in a little coat.
I can't get behind bobble hats. I mean, I know we kind of often say both things of like, yeah, do what you want, but also you look like a dick if you do this. But bobble hats they're just too warm, surely.
It did start to get warm. I had to take it off at one point and like put it in my little bag. So yeah, it did get too warm. But when you first set out and it's freezing cold, it's perfect. It's lovely.
Yeah, like a light hat I can get behind, but just like a full bobble woolly hat, I just think it's so sweaty.
No, not those like, because you got it. Those little horrible, like, they look like swimming caps. You mean like the running ones that are like made out of some weird material, and they're like a hat shape, but they're just made out of something weird.
I quite like that from a bald head. That's very handy. You haven't experienced that yet.
You look like a literal knob in them. Not just you, but everyone who wears them. They're horrible.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. If I've got a warm head, I'm perfectly fine with that. I remember running with someone at cross country a few years ago during the women's race, so I was supporting her, and she went out with like a proper big bobble hat, like I think a body warmer and like ski gloves, like massive ski gloves. And so she came around the first lap, and I was like, "Do you want me to take the gloves?" She's like, "Yes," pulled them off and gave them to me. And I was like, oh, "God, these are hot!" Like she was burning up inside there.
Ski gloves.
Yeah, they were like really thick ones, and like I could feel how warm they were as soon as I held them. So that was just like, no, you can't. Again, people kind of forget. I think that's a newbie thing, is dressing as if you're just going to stand outside in the cold, forgetting that you're actually going to be running.
Yeah, definitely. What have you been up to?
Well, a couple of people mentioned during the week that the guys from Running Commentary would be at Cardiff Parkrun this week. It's just a little podcast. I'm not sure if anyone's heard of them. And like, I should go along to say hello for some like podcast crossover. And I can't say I was super excited by that, to be honest, because it's not a huge deal. A few days later, I entirely forgot about that and decided to do Cardiff Parkrun, like completely unrelated. It had gone out of my mind completely. And I was reminded at the end that they were there. I didn't, recognize them or kind of see them or anything. But you know what? They didn't come up and see me. So I don't see why I should care.
Yeah.
Had a fine time. I saw the photo that one of them took as Rob Deering. Photo he took, and like right behind is like 3-4 people from my club that I went and spoke to. So I must have pretty much almost immediately after he took that photo went up behind him and started chatting to those people. So I was very, very close to where they were, but it's only a little podcast, who cares? I also went for a run with Jen Harding, who we mentioned, no relation, in the same forest as you did a few weeks ago, but my dog didn't run off.
Well, Jen's learnt her lesson.
I know you just do it for the comment, and we thank you very much for that. Let's have just a quick look through comments. I see some people have had tea. That's very good. Oh, there's your mum. She's enjoying the tea advent calendars. You get 2 bags a day. It's very, very nice.
It is, yeah.
Helen Patricia has a propeller medal from an airfield run. That's quite fun.
It's relevant. So
that's nice. It's on a theme. I like that. Carol Hamilton once did a 10K at an event while my partner did the full marathon, and they got the same medal, and it's huge. And he was most resentful. Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Karen Spackman is she's just back from Poland and is drinking winter tea. There we go. Lovely. That's all good to see. Amanda Jean says currently 20 degrees at 6 a.m. Oh, she's another one in Australia. I don't need to hear about those people. Ian Thompson said, I tried running commentary on Spotify, but the ads were hateful. Not as bad as ours, surely.
Do we have ads on Spotify? I don't listen, so I don't know.
I don't know. I assume not.
Do we have ads on Spotify?
I assume we'd have to turn those on. I don't know. Anyway, it's probably fine. Anyway, thank you very much for all of those. It is time for our first guest. I can see she's sitting there having a bit of a chat away. So let's bring her in right now. Nicola Forward.
Hello. Hi. How are you guys?
Finally got you on the Naughty podcast.
I know I've been sat here checking my watch, waiting for like years.
God, all right. Well,
Right,
okay. Well, as you may all know, Nicola is a fellow podcaster and YouTuber, and what you all think is the happiest runner in the world. But for one night only, we're unleashing and uncensoring Nicola Forward, but for about 10 minutes. Because I think that's plenty for everyone. You're looking very festive there. You've made an effort for your backdrop, rather than us who've just blurred ours because we don't want to tidy up.
Well, I did have a cider as well, but I finished that now. So I thought this was like a version of a running Christmas party. So I thought, yeah, I've got my little reindeer earrings in. Don't know if you see those.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, I've made an effort, guys. Christmas.
Wow,
party.
I'm not used to that.
Amy.
Oh, you know what? I was going to dress as an elf today. I had an outfit for real. I have an elf outfit in the post, but long story. My Amazon thing was declined for various reasons, so I it didn't arrive. I was gonna make the effort. The thought was there.
I feel like an elf costume wouldn't be too difficult for you. You mean you're halfway there with the look anyway?
Hence the reason for it. Yeah.
Just
so
a stripy hat, you'd be fine. Anyway, Nicola, so look, you run a lot. That's pretty established. We know about that. You run every day, as well as like running marathons and ultras pretty often, and usually really short notice as well. But there's a couple recently that you did that we particularly want to hear about.
I wonder why.
You know, I've just watched the video from it like an hour before this podcast as well, while I was having my dinner. So I feel I'm up to date on that. But we want the behind the scenes version, please.
Well, I sent you some clips, didn't I, straight afterwards, because I knew you would appreciate it. So for listeners, I fell over. Well, twice. Yeah. I fell over twice. And actually, Amy fell over twice, didn't she? Last episode.
Little slip.
I fell over. I fell over.
I actually fell over, Amy. If there's not blood, I'm not sure you really fell over.
No, technically it's not a trail run unless there's blood. So tell us about the races that you were doing.
So I'd just hit 2,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. So I hadn't really thought about that other than, wow, 2,000 people want to watch videos of me running. That's amazing and surprising. But then somebody said, how are you going to celebrate? And I thought, oh, I don't know. And then I thought, why not do 2 marathons in 2 days? Because I haven't run back-to-back marathons for a while. Exactly. I channeled my inner Stuart Harding and was like, enter all the races. So I entered those, and less than half the way into the first day, I proper stacked it. It poured with rain all day. It was like, if you guys could design a race, you know how you're offering to pay for a race entry for somebody? It was like you'd designed this race.
Excellent. Yeah.
It was like, right, we're going to start and it's going to be raining. They'll set off in the rain and the rain will just get worse and worse all day. And there'll be like rivers, and we'll make the rivers worse and worse, and it'll all just get worse. And then, you know, they can trip over. Actually, I shouldn't joke too much because somebody tripped over on the next day and I think he cracked a rib. So we shouldn't laugh too much at falling over, but I don't mind you laughing at me falling over. That's okay.
Yeah. I mean, for a start, there was 2 marathons in a row. I mean, there was actually 4 in a row you could have done, but you weren't able to do the second 2. But they were all 4 laps each.
Yeah, so it was the Grim Up North 4x4.
That is grim.
Well, it was in the rain. It's the first time. I love Grim Up North races. Grim Up North and Punk Panther, they're like my go-to race companies up here in Yorkshire. And I've never, in a Grim Up North race, thought it is grim up north. But this is the first race that actually shouted, it's grim up north, after laying on the floor for a bit in the rain.
So after you told me like your reaction after your first fall, you just kind of sat on the floor and had a little cry.
Right. I was waiting. I was waiting for somebody. You know, you just want somebody to come along and say, are you okay? And you want to go, no.
Yeah, you need to vent it to someone.
And have a bit of a cry.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, so it's going to be okay. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
But people don't walk in the rain. No. What is that? It's a really busy reservoir route. And Nobody was there walking, nobody. So, and there were no other runners. I was like, surely another runner's going to come past, but we're just all so spread out. So I lay on the floor for maybe like 2-3 minutes, which is quite a long time because you get really cold really quickly, just crying and sort of shouting because I thought it had all gone wrong. And I did that thing where you go, that's it, it's over, I can't do it anymore, it's all ruined. I had these big plans and now I can't do them. And I just wanted somebody to come along, but they didn't. So luckily I was far enough away from the checkpoint because I was really limping. After the first fall, I was sad. I was really sad, cried. Oh, well, you might have seen, Stuart. You just watched the video. I was sad. And I was limping really badly. And I just thought, I can't run, I can't do it. But there was maybe 1.5 miles, 2 miles to the checkpoint. And so by that time, actually, I'd realised that it wasn't all quite as bad as I was making out in my head.
Yeah. Well, and then you carried on for a little bit, and then this happened.
Such grim weather. Fuck's sake. Are you kidding me?
Oh, I love that video. Thank you so much for sending it. Honestly, I've watched that. I've watched that at least a dozen times.
I was like, I'm going to have to send this to Stuart. I was raging. Because that's the second fall. I was the first time I was sad, second time furious. How often do you fall over? Twice. How often do you fall over running? Not that, unless you're Amy. Not that frequently. So to fall over twice in one race, I was just like, what is wrong with me?
I mean, it's just the fact that when you hit the ground and it's not shock or pain, it's just fury. It's instant anger straight away. Your first reaction. Just got a few reactions from people here. Matt Garner says it's amazing. That's Drew says ha 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 ha. That's nice because he's usually nice. Karen, those. Yeah, first time we've heard Nicola swear. Yeah. Oh yes. I did quite a lot of after the first fall and nobody coming along. I did quite a lot of just before I got up. I just sat on the floor swearing, and I thought, good. If a walker comes along now and they hear me swearing, good, because I am hurt. Can we watch that one more time?
Yeah.
Go on then. Such grim weather. Fuck's sake. Are you kidding me? Rage. Pure rage.
There's a little follow-up to this as well, which I think is worth watching as well. Let's have a go.
Like, are you serious? Why can't I stop falling over? Now I've cut the middle of that hand. Plaster's just about staying on for my other stuff. I'm not even going to look at my knees, don't want to know. Like, why?
You're desperately trying to keep up, like, presenting, but you're so angry.
One of the reasons I love filming while running is because even though you're on your own, it feels like there's somebody else there with you. So I do like that aspect of sharing what I'm going through with somebody who I'm pretending is there. So I want to let the person there with me know what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
It's not all rosy. Most of the time I'm going, yay, hooray, because I love running. I'm really happy when I'm running, but yeah, it's not all rosy all the time.
Yeah. So, okay, in that case, let's move on then. Tell us what is the most bullshit thing about running. You're finally your big chance. I know you've been waiting for this for 4 years.
Well, because I've had 4 years to think about it, I went through so many things. Yeah. And I thought, is it all the washing? Is it, races on a Saturday morning? I know you won't get that, Amy, but park run, Stuart, park run.
I know. Yeah.
But then I thought about it and is it falling over? But I think it's got to be your front door because I go in and out of my front door numerous times a day. Me and my front door have a good relationship, usually works well, and I've done some decent running, back-to-back marathons, 100-milers. I'm strong mentally. But every time I go for a run, my front door seems like the hardest thing in the world to get past. And I don't understand why, because I never have a problem with my front door at any other time.
Well, my lock sticks a little bit, so that does make it a little tricky.
You see, I don't have any technical issues with mine. So it's got to be the running. The running makes my front door really difficult. What is that?
Perhaps you don't actually like running. Have you ever thought of that?
Well, as soon as you start, you love it. That's the problem. But why can't your brain remember that then from the day before? I loved it yesterday. I'm going to love it during and after, as long as I don't fall over. Why can't you love it in that moment before you leave? It's like you and your front door have to have that. Getting past your front door. That is the most bullshit thing about running.
Sorry, I've got a comment there from Karen Spackman who says, glad Nick isn't talking about a back door.
Well, I mean, whichever way you want to go.
Well, yeah, that's what I hear about you. That's the rumor. So that's it. So it's the fact that you like running, but you only like running when you're running. And then the in-between bits, it's like for some reason, it's really hard.
Yeah. What is that? I honestly do not understand that mental barrier. So yeah, sort of wishing I didn't have a front door when it comes to starting a run. As soon as you leave the house, you're fine. You're loving it.
Yeah. I mean, if you didn't have a front door, you could just live outside in the woods. Probably be all right.
It'd probably be easier. Yeah. You'd already be cold, you know. You'd be like, oh, just go for a run to warm up.
Cool. Well, before we go, let's just watch this one more time.
Such grim weather. Fuck's sake. Are you kidding me?
Oh, sorry.
Seeing as I can't swear on my channel, that's not great, is it, for me? I need to think about that next time I fall over.
Yeah, not good for the branding.
Not good for the branding. Hey, do you know what? Before I leave and watch your other amazing guests, I can't believe you haven't mentioned, or nobody's written in about last week's Patreon song, because, oh my good, right. It made me think of the infinite monkey theorem, because I was like, you could put Stuart in a room and he'd write all these terrible songs, you know, the last 98 episodes.
Yeah, that's fair, yeah.
And it's all worth it for this one piece of genius. That was your Shakespeare.
Thank you.
Shakespeare. I've listened to that several times.
Well, do you put the Patreon one or the Christmas song?
Oh, no, the Patreon one.
Okay.
I'm not a massive fan of the Christmas one. Am I allowed to say that? Will you boot me off?
I'm very glad about that. I'm glad someone like literally no one else. I've been sitting here like, is anyone going to mention that? Because I thought it was fucking good. But
it was genius.
And also,
really good.
Mentioning all those Welsh names. Yeah, mentioning all those. I thought either people hate it because of football or they'll hate it because I'm putting Welsh names or Welsh people in 3 lines. So thank you so much.
Loved it. Thought it was genius. Yeah.
Sorry, just quickly there. Tom said we need Nicola crying at cows too. That is very, very funny. You hate cows. I
don't hate cows. I love cows. I just don't want to be in a field with them. They don't really like you running through fields.
No.
They're inquisitive and they're bigger than me.
Yeah.
A cow could kill you. Like, yeah, it's okay to cry in front of a cow.
Do you know, Amy, you couldn't grab it by the horns and swing it round?
No.
Not like Amy could a sheep.
That's Amy's sheep theory. Exactly.
Don't get me started, please. But a cow, see, this is the thing. Like, I'm well aware. Like, a cow could overpower me. I'm not stupid. But a sheep, we're not going into that. But yeah, a cow, I totally understand. I wouldn't run through a field of cows. I would definitely run through a field of sheep. I would make a point of running through a field of sheep just to assert my dominance, but not cows.
Totally with you. 100%.
Ben Timson says he really shouldn't be watching this with his 5-year-old. No, I think we could have told you that before, even without the video.
I've not done that much swearing, although you keep playing the video, which, sorry.
Yeah, that's good. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm glad we got you to do a little bit of swearing, if nothing else.
You're more than welcome.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Congratulations on the 100th episode.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
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 Get her removed. Lovely. Thank you very much, Nicola. Kat says, my money's on the sheep. It would be a massacre. Can we not talk about the sheep again? I can't handle it.
You know what? I'm just going to make it a rule. I'm not going to talk about the sheep because once I start, I'm just going to have to prove it one day.
You are going to have to prove it one day.
I'm just going to leave it there. That sentence. I will prove it because it's getting to the point now where I feel like I'm going a bit mad because how can... Stop. Let's move on. You know we're going to move on to what Nicola nicely forwarded us towards, which is you can support us. You can support this podcast. You can go to patreon.com/runningisbullshit, donating money every month. New to this month is Noms Dawson and Samantha Benson. And
while we've actually been live, I just got the email because I can't turn the email alerts off on this browser. Who was it again? Claire Davis. Claire Davis has signed up while we're live.
Hey.
So that's good. Thank you very much. So you won't be in the song. So, sorry about that.
Yeah. And we've had a few comments already. Comments leading up to this. No, we're not going to be singing the Patreons live. I have no idea what goes on when Stuart's recording his Patreon songs. I don't listen to the Patreon songs that he records.
Magic goes on, let me tell you.
But I know from my own experience that it takes a long time, and my computer nearly going out the window several times. So it's not going to happen off the bat, okay? What you hear on the podcast is me at my very wit's end with recording the Patreon songs.
Remember, as bad as they are, that's us spending ages editing them as well. So,
yeah, there will be a Patreon song this episode, but not recorded live. Yeah. But obviously a huge thank you to all our Patrons, both current and dearly departed. Which sounds like you're dead, but no people who aren't. You might as well be dead if you're not giving us money anymore.
They're dead to us, is what I meant.
They're dead to us.
Yeah.
Dearly departed. RIP. It really has meant we're able to run races and do things we wouldn't be able to do otherwise, and we really do appreciate all your support.
Thanks. It'll be all right at the end. It's a really good one. We're going to go to our next guest. Amy, go for it.
Yes, so our second guest is a long-time listener and regular contributor, and our second ever Patreon, speaking of Patreon, and potentially a Victorian supervillain, Dr. G. Max Carnage, aka Max Garner. Hello.
Matt Garner.
Matt Garner. Sorry, I did it again, getting mixed up. Max Carnage, Matt Garner,
thing.
Matt Carnage.
Good evening.
Hi, Matt.
Good evening.
What a great intro for you there.
Hello.
We really nailed it.
It had everything that I was hoping for.
It's what you expect at this stage. So thank you so much. As I say, you've been with us for ages and ages. You've basically given us a lot of material for the podcast over the years. Pretty much most of our episodes, we've probably mentioned you at some point. So that's been very handy.
It's been my pleasure.
Lovely. So, Matt, of course, the thing we have to ask you is, what is the most bullshit thing about running?
I would say that recently for me, it is trying to get back into running, injuring myself, setting myself back, getting back into running, injuring myself, setting myself back, rinse and repeat.
Are you actually doing any of the things that you're supposed to be doing when you're injured to prevent injury again?
Yes. Obviously, I'm following the exercises that my physio has set me naturally.
Are you?
I think I've done about 15% of the times I'm supposed to have done the exercises.
Yeah. That is the worst thing. That is the worst thing about it, is because, we do constantly injure ourselves, and you go back and do it again, and you know the things you have to do to avoid it, but you still don't.
Yeah, and every time I go to the physio, I have to come up with a new justification of why I haven't done the exercises. And the last time I went, he just shrugged and said, look, I'm going to keep taking your money when you come for these visits, but if you don't do the exercises, then what can I say?
So, that's the thing. But then off us, they'll be like, keep coming back in. We'll keep charging you 40 quid a time, no problem.
Well done being so honest, though, because I just go back and I'm like, yeah, of course I've been doing it. It's your fault. Then you give me the wrong exercises.
No, I realised that, I've got to try and be a grown-up about it and hold up my hands and say, yeah, it's my own fault.
And I think they know as well. I mean, one particular time when I went to physio, and they just kind of got me just do like a really basic stretch just to see how flexible I was. And they laughed. I mean, they actually laughed at where I stopped being able to stretch, and like, oh, is that it? I was almost, when I was trying to stretch the other week, if I sit on the floor with my legs out flat, I can get almost to 90 degrees, my body. That's how inflexible I am. I can't sit.
You can just about reach your knees. Just about reach your knees when you stretch.
Yeah, but like my body isn't at, upright. I'm not at 90 degrees. That's how bad it is. So that's why I'm terrible.
Yeah, for me, the recent one was, okay, so can you stand on your leg, on your injured leg? And I was like, okay. And I managed about like a second and a half before I was wobbling all over the place. Balance, not good. But I've never had good balance, so.
Yeah, but you've never practiced in between, so.
No, I'm coming back from a stress fracture in my fibula, which has been a pain. I was due to run the Great Scottish Run, which is like a half marathon in Glasgow, and it had been like niggling at me for like the weeks leading up to it. I had a complete week of rest beforehand, and I said to a few friends, it feels a bit better. Maybe I'll just like start the race and see how it goes. And I can drop out if it feels like it's giving me too much, too many issues. And various people just said to me, seems like a bit of a high risk strategy if you've been spending the last 2 weeks not being able to run properly. Maybe you should not do that.
Yeah.
And then I managed to get yeah, I hadn't managed to get a physio appointment in the lead up to it, but I had one a few days later, and when he said, yeah, you've got a stress fracture in your fibula, I was like, yeah, pretty good that I didn't do that race then.
Yeah.
Because I probably would have just like struggled through, and it would have been bad.
Do you think, are you actually definitely going to rest properly now? Because at least, if nothing else, are you at least going to be able to not run on a stress fracture?
Yeah, so I think the diagnosis was at the beginning of October, and I had at least 5 weeks where I didn't run at all, and I've done 2 park runs in the last 3 weeks where it was sort of very gentle. But I'm now in the position where it's like, well, is this actually an injury, or am I just kind of hyper-focused on the possibility of an injury? So I'm playing mind games with myself. So I may try a gentle run tomorrow and then a gentle park run on Saturday.
Okay. Well, don't blame us if it goes wrong for encouraging you in any way, because as I said, we're here very much to discourage people from running.
Yeah, I treat you as like reverse psychology, and that's why I train so hard.
Okay. Ian Thompson just said there, cycling on a stress fracture is the way. Ian Thompson, you are banned for promoting cycling.
We don't say the C word here.
We do not. That is the C word, as far as we're concerned.
I've lost many a friend to triathlons, and I will not tolerate that talk around here.
It's kind of the mutual enemy of the runner and the cyclist, as we know.
Mm.
There's a few other things that you want to talk about running. Actually, things that you kind of like in a kind of weird. I think you are kind of someone that enjoys very niche things about running, though, and I do like those kind of things as well.
Yeah, I think in the chat beforehand, I said a few different things that I've sort of messaged you before with options for content for the podcast that you've steadfastly ignored up until now. So is this my moment?
Yeah, now you can unleash. I mean, I've got a big remove button here, but
this is true. Was there anything in particular? Which one did you want to focus on, or should I just go through them in order of priority?
Think about future episodes. We need to keep some content on the back burner.
Is that like when parents say, "Oh, maybe later"? You're just putting it off.
Maybe later. Yeah. We'll see.
Maybe.
Well, okay. Let's go with the first thing that I suggested, which was I think it's completely normal, rational, and sensible to plan your route for your run, largely, if not entirely, on the basis of the pretty picture it will draw on the map.
Yeah.
Whether or not that takes you through the more scenic part of the area you're in, that's irrelevant. Does it draw a pretty picture on the map? And I think that's completely normal. But you thought I was insane when I suggested that before.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it depends how far you're going on this. And the thing is, if I remember for you as well, it wasn't necessarily like you're not like drawing a picture of a duck or anything. It's just a nice kind of triangle or just a nice shape.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a picture of a duck. I mean, that's also if it's an aesthetically pleasing triangle. I drew a coat hanger by accident once, and I think that may be the thing that started me off on this path of madness. But I've got various rules that I set for myself when I'm running, like don't cross the streams. So try to, if you're doing a loop, keep it open. Don't cross over yourself.
Okay, no,
unless there's a rationale for crossing over, in which case that's okay.
Like if it creates like a nice hourglass, or if it's nice and even, if it's in the middle of the run, maybe.
Well, ideally though, you wouldn't cross over. You would sort of approach that turning point. You'd come round, then you'd do another loop. So your path would actually. But you're laughing as if this is not a normal thing to say.
I feel like this is going to be footage that's used in like a Netflix true crime documentary when.
What do you mean? Is this
when the carnage eventually happens?
When the max carnage happens, yeah.
Well, I think my very first interaction with your podcast was when I wrote in to talk about shoulder checking a bit on the on Holloway Road.
That was an important point for us, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
It was an important point for me as well. I finally understood the true power of the shoulder check.
Have you shoulder checked any bitches?
Apart from that one time, no.
Okay.
Well, actually, it wasn't a shoulder check. I brushed past somebody in the least obnoxious way possible, given that she was hogging the entire pavement, and because she was some hoity-toity Highgate so-and-so, she looked at me as if I was absolute dog shit as I went past.
Yeah.
So.
The true shoulder check is the shoulder check in our minds that should have happened but didn't happen, because or else there may have been charges.
I should have done that. Yeah.
I think I listened to the episode after that incident, and I thought I should have shoulder checked that bitch. So it's probably a good thing. Probably a good thing that I hadn't listened to it beforehand. Otherwise, things might have turned out differently.
Yeah. Speaking of the Strava art there, Paul Wilshire says, I liked Amy's Strava stickman. That was adorable, to be fair.
Oh, is this the one I did for that competition?
Competition, yeah.
The thing is, I think I did it on the podcast. I entered into a competition for like Nike to win some shoes or something, and I thought I'd done really well, and it took me forever to do. I went up to like Penarth, which is like a massive hill, and it took me forever. And then I saw the actual winners of the competition. I thought, yeah, mine was shit. I was like, why did I bother? Like, people were doing like really intricate things, and I was just like, yeah, crap.
I remember that. Yeah. I don't think I attempted any Strava art for that competition because I'd seen some of the other true pros. It's more about something whimsical or something abstract.
Yeah, but just
like
vaguely pleasing. Yeah. I remember in the last World Cup, actually, I haven't done it this time. I went to a local park in like a really big open space and wrote "It's coming home" for my run. That was very fun.
Is that why it didn't come home? Did you?
That's possibly why. That's possibly why. That was really, really hard, so I'm not going to do that again. Matt, time is almost up. So if you've got any more bullshit you really want to get off your chest, now is your chance.
Oh, you put me on the spot now. No,
go.
I think that I was going to say something disparaging, but thank you for all of the hard work you're putting into the podcast, both of you. I know that Amy does most of the work.
Thank you.
Very much like the With Me Now situation. So, that was it. Can we have a wife swap episode where you swap partners for?
You've been pushing this for a while.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Amy knows nothing about parkrun, so that's unlikely.
Yeah, that would be horrific.
It wouldn't be the first time that the host of a parkrun podcast knows fuck all about parkrun.
No, we didn't. Totally went there.
Would it? Eh?
I have no idea what that refers to, but
Amy knows that's a sick burn.
Yeah.
She knows a burn when she hears one.
An ultra runner who doesn't know anything about parkrun hosting a parkrun podcast. It's classic format.
Are you referring to me as an ultra runner?
Yeah, you're an ultra runner.
Thank you.
You're my ultra running inspiration. Given that, well, that's not a joke. That's serious.
Wow. Okay.
Thanks.
Whatever you're drinking there is just kicked in, so I think it's best to remove you now. Thank you very much, Matt, for joining us.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you for being with us all this time.
Stay safe out there.
We will. Thank you so much. A bizarre comment we've just had in from Freya there. This is making me want to run. I'm not sure what about this in particular is really making
run away.
I'm not sure. Perhaps she means
reinforce the.
From you,
the door a bit,
I think is what that means. I see, yeah.
Because
I'm not sure what about this is inspirational. Perhaps it's the innovate quote that's really got to it. It's really made her think.
I mean, yeah.
Just go on to something else completely unconnected to that, because I haven't really written any kind of clever segue to this. I'm the kind of person that likes to make lists. I like to quantify things because it's fun. I looked back at our previous 99 episodes, and I want to see who'd been on the cover photo the most, because it's basically just left to me every week just to pick something or find something from somewhere. And I try and be careful and balance it. And I thought to myself, I feel like Amy's been on there a lot recently. Has she been on the most, more than anyone else?
I don't think so.
I went back through the 99 episodes because I know this is fascinating to see who'd been on. I literally, on the back of an envelope, because that's just what I've got hanging around. I did those calculations. So I like a cliche, if nothing else. Any guesses, anyone, who's been on the cover photo the most? I mean, I can tell you actually who's been on the most is guests, and that's like 27 of the 99 have just been kind of guest photos. That was kind of an easy one. There's also the second highest is just the logo, because they're the weeks I couldn't be bothered to think of anything, so I just put the logo on there. I think I did that a lot at the beginning as well. We just had Drew thinks William has been on there. No, William's actually only been on there 4 times, which is a bit of a shame. Let's have a look. Anyone else wants to have a guess if me or Amy has been on the cover more? Ian says the dogs. Sarah says the dogs. Yeah, not actually that many times. So William 4 times, Pippin 2, Finley 2, So we need to get them on a little bit more, I think. Yeah, sorry about that, everyone. Between me and Amy, actually, Amy's been on 13. Karen Hamilton said Reese. Yeah, could be on. He's usually on most weeks. Amy has been on the cover 13. I've been on 14.
You know what? That's
So
more. I'm on more because I don't do anything. So I assumed like it'd just be you because like I'm not. Are you like taking secret pictures of me when I'm just running around?
no, but occasionally I will just take a photo off your like Twitter or something, or your
Yeah.
Facebook.
I don't
Like,
like.
I know you've just like posted a photo of like you and the dog or something. So
Oh, okay. Just me and the dog like sat in the house, not actually running or doing anything.
and of course Finley is now a runner, so should be cover boy.
He is. Yeah. He can do 10K.
Oh, that's
You
not
know?
bad for
He
a
was
corgi.
the lazy, and now he's the dedicated.
Oh, that's lovely. Jen, who we've mentioned, she's been on 2. And Gus, your mum's dog, has been on once. David Sinclair's been on 2. Not at all pleased about that. It's one of
Why?
our running friends.
Why
Not-
is Dave Sinclair been on it?
He just sneaks his way in. He gets everywhere, doesn't he?
Yeah.
There we go. Just a little bit of random trivia for you there.
Nice. Okay, so we're on to our messages now. So we've had a load of messages from you this week. So here are some of our favorites. And we're starting with Noms Dawson. Says, I am a running is BS success story. That's really worrying. I don't know what that looks like, but we're gonna
I don't know what that means straight away.
Success story. I know, crazy, right? But you have people that you have actually helped motivate to run and complete personal challenges. I don't know whether you're listening to the right podcast.
That is a disaster for us. That is literally the last thing we want.
Yeah. I always wanted to run a marathon, as I've done a lot of half marathons, but never a full. I always thought it too far for me. But as everyone said, you'll never get a lottery place for Berlin Marathon. I thought I might as well sign up. I only went and got a bloody place. So training started at the beginning of this year, accompanied by your podcast. Yep, I'm one of those crazy people who has binge listened to you from the very first episode. I'm so sorry. You kept me company on my long training runs for Berlin Marathon, and on Sunday, 25th September, I did it just over 5 hours. That will do me. So thank you for keeping me company and making me laugh on this epic journey from half marathoner to full marathoner. I've been meaning to send this message for a while. I apologize for taking so long to getting around to doing it. Love the podcast. Thanks so much for it. And also, because we talked about your trip to Wank that is coming up soon, Stuart.
Yeah, Holly's just walked past. Me and Holly are going to Wank next year. We're going to Wank for 4 days.
So also just wanted to say that myself and my husband have done the Wank together. Yes, we went last year to Wankburg. You really have to worry. You don't really have to worry about being childish about the name. They know, they really know. On the menu at the restaurant at the top, you can find such things as an invitation to taste their special Wank juices. The I Love Wank slogan is used often for our amusement. See the attached photo of my husband.
There we go. That's husband and how much he loves Wank. It's so worth it, isn't it? Just for that. Just for all that merch, with I Love Wank on it. They're clearly like, all right, this is fucking stupid, but if British people are going to come here and take photos of all the signs, let's sell them some shit.
Yeah. Well, that's what everyone's getting for Christmas next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't buy things for people, but yeah, thank you very much for that, Noms Dawson. You are not a success story, though. You are running his best failure. I'm afraid. That's how we count this. Yeah, you might see William running up and down in the background. You lucky watchers. Yes. Also, yeah, if we're going to talk about my holidays, because let's just turn this into Stu's holiday flex section. I've just booked my next holiday. Actually, it's going to be before Wank. I'm going to go to the Arctic Circle for 3 days to do dog sledding.
Wow.
I mean, how cool is that? In north of Sweden, getting the train, flying to Stockholm, a 14-hour train, sleeper train up to Kiruna, and then we're going to get picked up and go and do dog sledding for 3 or 4 days in fucking freezing temperatures. Like the amount of stuff we have to take with us is ridiculous. It like says you have to bring your long johns. I'm like, yes, I get to buy long johns. That's
long
amazing.
johns. They actually say that.
Yeah, you've got to have proper thermals. So like proper long, like thermal trousers, pants.
I thought that was like 18th century pirate or something.
When you're in the Arctic Circle, you need that kind of shit.
You need long johns.
Yeah, so I'm very much looking forward to that. That's going to be a fantastic holiday. It's of course is a comment from your mum. I'm a success story. I've listened to 100 episodes and never been inspired to run.
That's the spirit.
Thank you. Thank you. That is exactly the kind of person that we need listening. Mac Garner's got long johns from a trip to Lapland. Perhaps I could borrow them. That'd be nice.
But long johns were a modern day thing.
And said they're like leggings. Like
I
leggings,
thought-
but warmer.
I thought it was just an old timey word for your trousers.
I think it is possibly a bit of an old timey word.
Get your long johns on. We're going to
Long johns on.
I don't know, pilot a pirate ship.
Sure. Great. These are the bits I would edit out usually. We've had an email from Matt Burrows. He said, "Hey, Stu and Amy, congrats on your upcoming 100th episode, current 100th episode. This is very not bullshit. I would, however, like to put it to you that birds are bullshit. This is my kind of territory now. Pettiness is what I like to see." Now, he submitted a list of evidence to us, stating his case. Firstly, how he approached a group of Canada geese, went as far out of his way as possible to avoid them, but still got slammed into a wall by one. And I looked up how much a Canada goose weighs, and it's like at most 6 kilos. So you cannot get slammed by a goose.
And how is it doing the slamming? Like, is it body slamming you?
But
Has it got its long neck and like slamming you?
the head
against
doesn't
the-
weigh. Slammed by a goose. So I'm not sure that's on the geese. I think that's more on him, frankly. There was secondly a story about how a pigeon shat on him. And yeah, to be fair, they'll do that. That is nasty. And finally, I can do this one in full just to give it the full proper effect. He says, Exhibit C, the most bullshit of all. In an unexpected plot twist, I was running doing hill repeats for some ungodly reason. It had been raining, the path was wet, and there were tree branches overhead. I caught a brief flash of something falling from a branch, and then it was in my eye. I tried blinking it out, and much to my amazement, it immediately fell out. Yes, and landed in my mouth. No. It didn't really taste of anything, but it had an unpleasant, half gritty, half liquid texture. I tried to spit it out, but it was so gloopy, I had to fish around inside my mouth with my finger and pull it out. Yes, of course, I discovered a dirty, evil bird had shat in my eye, and the crap had then fallen into my foolishly open mouth. Birds are bullshit. Keep up the good work and watch the feathery bastards. Love, Matt.
That's disgusting.
I don't know how that works. How does it fall into your eye, then into your mouth, so much so that you have to fish it out? That's very strange. Drew
Just two
says,
very strange incidents. Two very strange.
very strange
stories.
incidents. Drew says, sounds like an innuendo. I got slammed by a goose. Yeah, I got goose slammed. Oh yeah. Watch out for that path. You'll get goose slammed. Ugh.
Right, moving swiftly
Yes,
on.
yeah, it's probably best.
Think about
Probably
eating
best.
bird shit. We've had an email from Karen Hamilton. It says, "Hi guys, my partner recently did his first 100k trail ultra, which he absolutely smashed despite having had a gastro bug in the week leading up to it. Not ideal. I was very anxious about him having gut issues during the run, but it was all no big deal to him, apparently, bastard. While he was doing the race, I volunteered as a course marshal. I'd had a little bit of the same bug and thought I was entirely recovered, but apparently I wasn't, because after having a short stint, I started feeling woozy and almost passed out at my post. Had to be attended by the event paramedic. I recovered okay, but it was very embarrassing and I felt a right twat for occupying a medic who was supposed to be there for the actual participants. To make matters better, the next day I ventured out for a short, easy walk/jog while he rested. I made it to about 4k, stepped on a tree root and rolled my ankle. So my partner runs an ultra, but I'm the one who needs medical attention twice."
Oh, Karen.
That's so
Okay.
funny.
That is... But you know what? That is what you get for helping.
Yeah.
We've said it before. Helping is overrated.
Yeah. If I was that like medic, I'd be like, "No, I'm not helping you. I'm here for you haven't paid for an entry. I'm not helping you."
100k ultra, and he's absolutely fine, even though he's had the shits.
Yeah. You're like passing out at an aid station.
The only time I've not run with the shits, but like I have, like as I recovered from it, it's we do a weekend every year, my run club, and we do 10 park run courses over the course of a weekend. I did the first one kind of okay. I got 2k into the second, and it was just like, no, I've got no energy. I've basically not eaten anything for 2 days, and I just went and sat down. And it's like I organized the whole thing and didn't run it at all. Then really, I just kind of watched everyone else and tried to tell them where to go because I just had no energy at all. So how the fuck anyone ran 100k ultra having virtually no food in them is just bizarre.
So
It's very, very bad. Finally, we've got a slice of genius here from Dave Spillett, who sent it in case we were desperate enough for some filler content, which is always the case. Yeah. Anyway, Dave is blaming his bipolar manic side, who insists on, why not? We can make that work somehow, which has resulted in him running almost back-to-back 24-hour races, multiple ultras in close succession. But his new thing is particularly special. He noticed you can skip the ballot for the Berlin Marathon and get a guaranteed place by doing the inline skate version the year before. That is using your head.
That's, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What? Are there any other races that do this? Like, I've never heard of that.
I think it's more of a European thing, but yeah, Berlin definitely do. I've seen that there when I went there a few years ago. So he said, this means someone with no balance, nor coordination, someone who experiences recurrent vertigo, someone with practically no skating experience, worth speaking of, is now in possession of shoes with wheels on, and as I'm not a complete fool, enough PPE to make me look like a knockoff Borg. There is nothing to say the offer will even be valid for 23-24, so I might still not get in the running race afterwards. And I don't even really do a lot of road running these days, much preferring to go out on the trails. So could have instead have avoided the ballot process by simply deciding to not take part. Absolute fucking idiot. But more than enough people have been told about it now that it will have to happen, and I'm sure it'll be an interesting challenge. It'll certainly be a challenge. It's how I suppose that's kind of bipolar mania for you. Like, yeah, sure, we can do that. They'll be great.
Do some roller skating, like.
Don't worry. Good news. He has checked, and the offer is on. So at least that part of it is still on. So if you do fancy running the Berlin Marathon in 2024, just grab some skates and get out practicing with Dave.
I mean, I will say I am really good at inline skating. Like, I am actually.
Whoa, okay.
There's not many things that I can say I'm really good at, okay? And that's not like that's not being self-deprecating. It's just
podcasting.
Just the truth. I'm not very good at podcasting. I'm not very good at running in particular.
Speaking out loud.
But I will say I am very, very, very good at inline skating. I was a child of the 90s and spent most of the 90s on a pair of inline skates. And I'm actually excellent at it. So this is actually something I could do. I reckon I could do a marathon on inline skates, for sure.
Helen Patricia has commented and says, Dave Spiller, I know him. He did the Dolby Inferno and then the White Horse the next day. I did one and Marshall the other. That would be Dave signing up for things. That seems like a really good idea. Tell you what, manic depressed Dave is going to be pissed off at some point. Just
on some roller skates crying.
Why have I done this? Don't worry, so I can run a marathon, which I don't really want to run.
That's just random, isn't it? I guess it is like a European thing. I think a lot of like Europeans are really into their inline skates still. You know?
Yeah. William says inline skates permitted. It's not in the main race. I think they either go way before, or it might even be the day before, because there's a slightly different course. Because obviously there's like uneven surfaces they need to avoid, so it's a slightly different course. So I think it might be the day before.
I'm quite interested to know what the times are for that as well, like how fast the winner does.
I think they're pretty quick. I mean, they're going to be because they're on wheels.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much for all that. Let's go to our next guest. Let's bring in Reese Jenkins. Oh, quick, put the baby down. Put the baby down, turn the microphone on. He was prepared. To be fair, you didn't know you were coming in. That's fine.
Hello.
You caught me out then.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I'm glad you're here, because just to let everyone know, full disclosure, Reese pulled out about an hour before we started recording tonight. And so I had to rewrite everything to add a little bit extra in instead. And then half an hour later, decided actually he was fine and want to be back in the podcast. So I had to change all the script back. That was great. Reese, why were you so indecisive?
Because I had a tooth pulled out this evening, and it sort of left me a bit flurry with my words. I think.
Yeah.
Right now. I think I sent you a photo as well. So you've got.
Yeah. Do you want to just come just a little closer to your laptop there, just so we can hear you a little bit better? If you can just come a little closer, just so we can.
Do you need the headphones in, or can I take them off?
Headphones in is better.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
That's better sound, because I think the microphone's in front of you now. Lovely. And yeah, so you told me you went to the dentist to have a tooth pulled. How many injections was there?
11 injections in total.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it's a big tooth. Like it's massive.
Now,
you want to see it?
I have a photo of the tooth I can put up on screen.
But you've got it next to you. You've got it like.
I've got it next to me.
Okay, right. This is a warning to everyone. there is a nasty tooth about to come up on screen. If you don't want to look at it, look away now. Reese is going to show us.
Let's get it out of the bag. Oh.
Oh, that's a big root. I mean, that needed to come out.
Yeah, you can see
Wow.
it's black and filling and
Oh,
everything.
and there's the photo you sent me, which is quite fresh. Okay, tooth is gone. You can look back now, everyone.
I'm here.
Wow. I mean, last time I went to the dentist for a big thing, I had 4 injections and cried for an hour. So 11 is just nightmarish, frankly.
She almost gave up trying to pull it out. She was going to send me to a surgeon and get him to pull it out, but I gave it one last tug and it popped out. So just lucky.
And so the drugs have kicked in now, and you're feeling all right.
I can talk again now, so that's
Yeah.
good. And my face has sort of gone down a bit on that side. I literally could not feel that side of my face,
Yeah.
and my nose was all tingly and everything. But there we go. It's all good.
Okay. Okay, right. Let's move on. Let's move. That is enough. That is plenty about teeth. Tell us about something even more fun, which is your experience in Death Valley this summer.
Oh God, yes. Quite the experience, which actually ended up in hospital at the end of it. I was lucky enough to, I guess unlucky, some people may say, to take part in a race called Badwater 135, which is 135 miles through the hottest place on earth. I think I've probably mentioned this like 3 or 4, maybe 5 times on your show previously.
Yeah.
And
I think this is your 16th appearance, yeah.
16th appearance. And it's technically, or they say it's the toughest race in the world. And now my little one is about to sort of steal my thunder. 1 second. There you go. Say hello. And then we're going to pass him back to Mummy.
Yeah. Mummy's going to go in a different room, hopefully. You know.
He's gone.
Fine.
He's gone. And basically, this summer, it absolutely kicked my butt. It was, well, I made it to 197 miles out of 135 miles, but I guess my journey came to an abrupt end at the side of the road when I sort of lost my mind and my entire bodily function, I guess is the way to describe it best. It was a complete clusterfuck of, sorry, is swearing okay?
I mean,
Yeah.
Reese, what is the title of the podcast?
I know, but I always feel bad when I do that. But it was a complete clusterfuck, basically.
It's fine.
And
I mean, it went wrong for you like way before 97 miles.
It went way, about 10 miles in, I pulled my hamstring. So then I was sort of hobbling along. 20 miles in, I started puking my guts up. And then from 20 miles up to 50 miles, I had horrible cramps whereby, literally, I was having to lay down on the floor on boiling hot tarmac, just trying to stretch out. Like I was sort of losing the plot a bit, and you could sort of see the downward trend in the whole event, should we say. And I made the 50-mile cutoff point with about 2 minutes to spare, which it was not fun, to say the least. And you're trying to sprint up this, it's like a 5,000-foot climb, and the time's just ticking away. And anyway, I made that cutoff time. Got to the point, and I thought the hardest part of the race was behind me, the hottest part was behind me, and somehow just kept on going. And my last memory of the whole thing was at mile 90, where you run past a very iconic Death Valley sign, which is it's the national park, and everybody recognizes it. And I thought it was a hallucination. It wasn't. It was actually real, but I thought I was hallucinating, which I guess is a bit of a weird one. And the guy I was with sort of just, we had a disagreement about whether it was real or not. And I sort of took his word for it. And that was my last memory of the whole thing. I got to mile 97 officially in the race. So I managed to do 7 miles of really not knowing where I was. I didn't know I'd lost my mind at the time. And I had a support runner with me, and we're just sort of running along, jogging along. And this is what they were telling me anyway. And he basically just stopped in his tracks. He looked at me and he's like, "Oh, that's not right." And I basically crapped myself at the side of the road, lost all bodily function and not even recognized it. Like, it was a point whereby I was still running. I hadn't even broken the stride. And the reason he could tell so badly is because you're in Death Valley, the hottest place on earth. You wear white. to try and avoid the sun and the heat. And obviously white doesn't hide a lot of things, especially when you lose bodily function.
And so
he's
you
like,
just emptied as you were running?
Emptied as I was running, didn't break stride. My
No.
my shoes were full of it, I guess is what you would describe. They were also white, so you can imagine the shit show that went on there. And yeah, he was like, oh, this isn't correct. I don't think this should be happening. So he spoke to the other crew, and the other crew then managed to flag down the event doctor, and the event doctor sort of took one look at me and sort of said, yeah, you need to go to the hospital now. And you're in the middle of nowhere. And luckily, we were about 25 miles away from one of the major towns, and there was a hospital there. And by hospital, it is like genuinely, it's a small waiting room. There's nothing else there. They don't have many things that could really save your life if you were really deteriorating. And my next memory of the whole thing was sort of waking up to being surrounded by very serious looking doctors, and they're obviously just sort of examining you, and they're testing your bloods and everything like that. And they sort of broke it to me that I've been suffering with a thing called rhabdomyolysis, which is basically where the lining of your kidney just starts to disintegrate, and you start poisoning yourself with everything you're trying to get rid of in your body, and it sort of affects your bloodstream. There's usually a lot of warning signs whereby, like, you pee blood, or you sort of get those warning shots. And I didn't have any of those warning shots. Mentally, my mind had gone somewhere else. My body was still moving, and I guess me crapping myself was just the way of my body screaming out for me to get help.
Well, thank goodness for that.
Not weirdly, it had nothing else to do. I couldn't really speak or anything at the time. And I remember when they told me that, I was just, oh, what is this? I heard of it, but I didn't know exactly what it was. And it basically, they broke it to me that I had third stage kidney failure. So I was in that point where maybe no return, where it could actually go pretty rapid downhill, and I could eventually end up dying, which is quite frightening when you're sitting there when you've only just come around after being out of it for about 8 hours. I think I was passed out for, and it's just bonkers. They were trying to get me on an air evacuation to a bigger hospital because they didn't have anything else there to sort of help me or get me better. They didn't have a dialysis machine or anything like that. And I just remember thinking, in America, you have to pay for everything, don't you? Especially healthcare. And my first question was, how much does that cost? And I think like, the doctor came over to me and sort of just went, it's about $60,000 to get on the plane. I was like,
to get on the plane?
Yeah. So that was the air evacuation. They wanted to take me on an air evacuation to another hospital because they couldn't look after me. I found out afterwards that the way they were doing the bloods were they were taking the bloods out of me, giving it to the janitor, and then the janitor was driving 4 hours up the road to drop off the blood, to test the blood, to then ring back. I think he had to do it like 4 or 5 times for the whole time I was in there. So imagine this guy was absolutely furious at me by the end of it all.
He must be on a hell of an hourly rate. Wow.
Oh man, it was absolutely crazy. And then they send you the itemized hospital bill at the end, and you're just like, they didn't do that for me. They didn't do this for me, and they did this for me. But I was just lucky. I dug my heels in. I'm not lucky. Maybe I was a bit stupid, really. I refused to get on the plane. I sort of felt that if I was dying, I'd know that, or I'd feel a bit going like I was going in the wrong way. And I managed to persuade them to do one more blood. And luckily, the bloods had gone in the right direction. And then they did more, and they did more, and then it just gradually got better. So yeah, that was my shit show of a bad water experience for 2022. I think we're in.
Wow.
Yes,
As Nicola's just said there, she commented, all of a sudden we've all stopped laughing. Yeah, I mean, I was watching the comments as they come in, and lots of people were laughing about things. But as you spoke more, the comments just dried up. Everyone's just like,
I didn't mean to kill the fun or anything. No, literally.
Yeah.
I can laugh about it now, and I'm here to tell the story anyway. It's just.
I mean, it involves
one of those
poo,
things
so it's
that
funny.
Yeah, exactly. And or it scared the hell out of everybody else, but I
Yeah.
didn't know what was going on.
So I think it begs the question: do you still want to do bad water? Because you've tried a couple of times now.
Yeah, I've done it 5 times.
Okay. Oh, you have. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I've failed once.
Okay.
Within 24 hours, I'd already messaged Keris, my wife, saying, "Did you know what's got to happen?" And she just sort of went, "It's not the right time to be discussing this, but yes, I understand." And obviously, that is, I want to go back and I guess, fix things and make sure that I get to the finish line.
You've done it 5 times. It's fine. You've done it.
It's done.
You've
It's
made
done.
your point.
No, but even just talking about it now, I'm getting like hot and sweating. It just excites me talking about the race in itself. And yes, I had a close call this year, but I had a lot of things go wrong for me, like the puking, the cramping.
Yeah.
They did a load of tests at the end. When I came back, I had a number of tests done and everything. And they say I had long COVID, which I didn't have anything really. The only thing you could really notice was the higher than usual heart rate, which I guess your body would work harder, especially in that heat and running 97 miles. It could have been worse. It could have been a 100-mile race and I tanked with 3 miles to go, you know? So, and I think by the end of it, I was obviously worried about my kidneys and everything, but I think it just felt a bit of an idiot, really, like risking it and going that far and not knowing when to stop. And you know what? If I'd known what was going on, I would have called it there and then straight away and just stopped. But scary, I guess, that you didn't. I'd lost my mind and I'd managed to keep going for like 7 miles before anybody realized what was going on.
It must be hard to tell as well, because a lot of the things you talk about, like losing your mind a bit before the whole shitting yourself thing, people experience when doing longer races and just generally feeling terrible. So I guess it's like, at what point is this like, this is dangerous, terrible? Because you're so out of your mind that it's almost hard to judge, I guess, as well.
Yeah, I think that for me was the like closest call, the biggest wake up call. It's like how far you could possibly go and actually end up killing yourself. Unintentionally, obviously, but it was just looking back, it's something I'm quite ashamed of, really, that I'd go that far. I didn't know I could go that far, and like obviously if I was there mentally, I'd be make the right call, I'd hope. It's why you have the right crew though, and doing bad water you have to take crew with you and people you trust. And luckily the guy that I was with, a chap called Chris Hewitt, he's like an EMT paramedic, so he was an expert, and still it took him a while to be able to spot what was going on, and then still he doubted himself, but then he asked another member of crew, and then we eventually asked the doctor. And I guess you put your trust into the people that surround you as well and hope to God that they make the right call, and they did.
Well, it's like we've said before on the podcast, giving up is a good thing. You need to practice giving up. It's not always about I'm going to push through and get it to the end, because sometimes that's not the right decision. Completely
agree with you. I think the people that say, yeah, you can just muster through and just keep on going, I obviously have a level of respect for them, but also it's very dangerous. It could lead to really bad injuries. It could lead to hospital. It can lead to a really hefty hospital bill at the end of it. You know, it's just, it's not worth it. Live to fight another day and you'll enjoy it more as well.
Yeah. So other than, for some reason, the return to bad water, which frankly I don't even want to hear about now, have you got any kind of, because you've always got some weird plan up your sleeve, is there anything for next year you can tell us about?
Yeah, no, completely. So I've sort of committed to doing the American Slam, which is 4 100-mile races from June, July, August and September. I'm obviously applying for bad water again, so if that gets in there, then that would be 5 100-milers in 4 months. And then I've committed to doing the Beacons Way 100 as well, so that would be 6 100-milers in 4 months.
So actually, you and Amy are pretty even for next year, both going for 6 ultras.
Well, this is what I was thinking. And then maybe to Amy's level, then there's commitment on those 6 races. It's awesome,
if you can make it, yeah. Amy, have you ever
100%?
Amy, have you ever DNF'd an ultra?
Yeah, I did it like
literally
a few weeks ago.
Damn it,
but I said on the podcast I hadn't trained for it, so I hadn't trained at all. Yeah. I still had the entry, and I still did 20 miles, and if it hadn't been at Penavan in the rain and wind, I would have finished it. So I think if I actually train,
let's see him there.
I can speak for Amy on that, because I live in Crickell, not too far away, and that Saturday the weather was absolutely abysmal. It's been horrendous all week, and to do 20 miles in those conditions is fantastic.
Thank you. So I'll be fine. I just need to actually train. I'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah, don't overtrain. I think that's what some people sometimes do as well.
Thank you. Yeah, just a few 10-mile runs here and there, and I'll be fine.
Yeah, you can trust Reese. He's got a good record on running tough ultras.
Not recently.
Yeah. Reese, thank you very, very much for joining us and really bringing the whole tone right down. That's been terrific.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you very much, and see you again soon.
Cheers. Bye.
Sorry, guys.
Bye. Wow, Hannah, you're up next. Hopefully you can give us a little bit of a lift from that. No pressure or anything. I can see you laughing in the lobby there. Fine. Amy, over to you for the bit that everyone's been looking forward to.
Oh yeah. It's the bullshit. It's the bullshit running news. I actually do the dancing every time, but this time you're actually getting to see it.
And
so.
she does that every time. Like, it's literally written in the script in giant letters, bullshit running news. And every time she's like, oh shit, I've got to do something.
I was gonna do. I in my head, I was like, I'm gonna plan something, and I'm gonna surprise everyone.
Whole dance
I'm gonna like
routine,
blow
light
everyone's mind because I'm gonna come. I'm gonna have like this whole song that I've created and like pre-planned, and it's gonna be fantastic. And I would have practiced it, but I
and you did that.
No, yeah.
Cool. So a little bit of bullshit running news of the year, because this is our last one of 2022. I think our biggest bullshit running news this year is just Runner's World. It's just their fucking paywall and their absolute garbage output that they put out now.
Oh, they have my details now because I had to sign up so I could read more than 2 articles or something. They're probably going to sell my details to someone.
It wasn't worth it, was it?
Place that would do that, isn't it? You know?
Yeah. It's just like ads and just random lists of shit things that aren't really about running anymore, not really any actual news. So that's kind of affected us quite a lot. You know what? A big shout out to Canadian Running Magazine. Genuinely, that is where we get a lot of our news these days. So good for you. Good old Canadians. You can always rely on a Canadian to help you out when you need to.
That's what they say.
Any themes of the news that have stood out for you this year, Amy?
Oh, so we have had quite a few themes, haven't we? Quite a few repeat stories, just different people involved. We've had people doing massively long races and getting horribly injured, of course. So things like people having maggots living in their feet, you know, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Lovely, great. I've had naked runners, lots of naked runners, which I love. I love it. I love it because I love how distressed people are when they're like reporting it to the police. It gives me some bloke.
There was a naked man.
Yeah, just like
outraged.
Running through a nature reserve. I think it's fantastic, especially the ones where they're wearing a backpack. You know, I like that.
Well, they're prepared. Sorry, just to go back, these stupid long races, like people seem to be doing a lot more. Now, it could be just a thing they're being reported on more. Perhaps it's more newsworthy these days. Perhaps it's just worth more clicks, basically. But the people, like I said, like getting maggots in their feet. Like someone did the marathon double and there were chunks falling off their foot. The guy who crossed Australia and nearly died a couple of times. They had to like take him to get scanned a couple of times. And it's just, I'm not sure if this is people being less prepared or people just pushing themselves further and further, and it's just worth more for clicks now, so it's being reported as well. But
I think it started during the pandemic. I think people just went literally a bit mad, didn't they? And they started doing all these challenges because they weren't formal races on. I think that's where it started, and people have just carried on with it because once you've set that bar, then people have to go beyond the bar.
We need to go further and further every time, no matter what. And like we said, just quit. It's not worth it.
But back to naked runners, they've been my favorite stories because the comments, they always have include some comments by people. It's like, oh, I was really shocked. I was like walking my dog and I was literally shocked. I phoned the police. It's like, love it. Oh my god. I don't know. I don't love it.
Lee Wood has commented and says, "Come and do the naked run with me, Amy." Or do you not love it that much?
Not that much. I like hearing stories about it, but it's not something I would partake in.
What I like about those stories is there's actually quite a lot of balance to it. And there's quite a lot of people that just say, you know what, fine, good for him.
Yeah.
And even when it's like women that have seen a man running naked, which, often would be, pretty dodgy, but a lot of them have been like, you know what, good for him. He didn't harm us. He was just having a bit of a run. Good for him.
That's the thing. It's not dodgy because they're just doing their own thing. They're not being like a creep in the bushes or something. They're just doing their own thing. They're just, it's fine. And then usually in a nature reserve, which I think that's nice. Because nature reserve, it makes me think that's where they all live, and
they're just huddled on the trees eating berries and nuts.
Yeah. I think it's lovely.
That's nice.
We've also had kind of related to the long distance challenges and people having chunks of feet falling off. We've had ultra records getting very silly. So 100 miles, length of New Zealand, backyard ultras.
Yeah, that record's gone this year. Like a lot of big records, 24-hour, that record's gone this year as well. And they're just getting silly now. And they're almost a little boring because they just keep getting better and better. And I'm just like, they're just too good now. I'm not into it anymore.
No. There has to be a limit. You have to reach the limit of human endurance.
I think, I don't know, perhaps it's a good thing they're professionalizing a bit more. More people are getting sponsorship deals and can afford to go and do these things, but they're too much. Well, actually, the woman who ran the length of New Zealand, because she took the most direct route, so she ended up just running on like the side of dual carriageways for a lot of it, which she said was terrible.
Yeah. I hear a lot about that when I'm hearing about like these challenges and stuff about people running these distances, and they've got to like, run at the side of the road and stuff. Like, oh god.
Yeah. One of the other things for me as well is the rise of insane shoes. We speak about these a lot and the bullshit marketing and just the way they describe them, just the way they look as well. I mean, straight up, actually, I'm going to do these in reverse order because I think it's more fun. First of all, some of the ones we've had this year. This is the Naked T/R. I mean, it looks like a fairly standard shoe, to be fair. It's just got no laces. And it just looks kind of a bit cool. And it's a bit see-through and it's kind of super lightweight.
Also, aren't your laces there for a reason? Like they adjust where the tightness of the shoe in certain areas, like all of that. Like you're removing a major function of the shoe. The laces aren't just for display, especially with running, because if you've got foot pain, you can sometimes adjust your laces. I'm getting really serious now, but it's true, isn't it? You adjust your laces in a certain way, you can stop the foot pain by putting pressure on different parts. Like they're a functional part of the shoe, right? Yeah.
This is the Bowler Brooks. This is Brooks shoes that were inspired by cereal. Whatever that means. I mean, just a lot of shoes recently have just been inspired by stupid things, and that is inspired by cereal. And that was, for some reason, a good idea. But this is the ultimate one. This is incredible. The Balmain Unicorn.
I hate it.
What the fuck is that?
That needs to be in like the Tate Modern, not in a.
It used to be in the bin. I mean, and that cost like £400 or £500 as well. So it's only absolute bellends.
How does it work?
Can you imagine wearing one of those?
No.
Apologies to the listener. This is just a crazy multicolored split sole shoe, like rainbow colored, and it's just a monster.
It's too much.
Never mind a unicorn, it's a monster.
Stresses me out.
I'm not happy with it.
No. A few of my favorite stories as well. My absolute favorite story of all time is the terrified jogger who spoke out after an owl attacked her. Quote, "It tried to eat me."
I mean, putting "it tried to eat me" in the headline is wonderful. Yeah. Well done to that sub-editor. Yeah.
So a woman's ponytail was apparently targeted by an eagle owl, which attacked her head and tried to eat it, which is hilarious. Like her ponytail.
And it's horribly terrifying because eagle owls are massive. But the fact that it tried to eat a ponytail is quite funny.
Wasn't it in Norwich or something? Like
I think so, yeah.
Somewhere really random and insignificant.
And one that I really liked was that the fact that people are going to Snowdonia a lot more, again, after lockdown, but people are shitting so much on the paths that the park authority have had to go public and ask people not to. I mean, that must be, because imagine for so long, it'd be like, okay, we keep finding shit. Like at some point, someone's gone, you know what? We're going to have to do a press release about this because it has just got too far now.
Yeah, so
how did you get to that point?
And we know now that what you do is you smear it on a rock and it will evaporate. We know from that video.
Smear
that's
it
not
on a
what
rock?
you do. You either dig a hole, you take your poo trial, you dig a hole 3 feet deep or whatever it is. I can't remember what it's supposed to be. Or if you're on a mountain, you smear it on a rock.
Smear it on a rock. If only I could have clipped out that video of that guy telling us what to do with our poo, and he had like a handful of peanut butter that he smeared on a rock just to show you what to do with it, with just this weird little smirk on his face.
You can't smear it on a rock, surely.
But please, people, stop shitting in Snowdonia.
Yeah, and if you do, don't actually smear it on a rock. That seems like terrible advice. I'm not even sure why that guy said that.
So much worse.
Yeah,
so much worse. Oh, well, there's another great note to bring in a guest on.
Great segue.
A great segue. Thank you so much. Time for our next and final guest. Let's bring in Hannah Phillips.
Hello.
There she is.
Hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I've had a lot of technical problems tonight already. So
You know what? We're 4 for 4. People getting their cameras and their microphones working, and I could not be more delighted or surprised.
amazing.
Perfect. And I think you were one of the first guests on our podcast.
Mhm.
I was just about to
4
say
years ago.
happy 100.
Thank
you very much.
It was,
No one's
well, I
bought
think
a
it was
cake or
4
anything.
years ago. I wouldn't say 4 years ago today then, but I don't think it was 4 years ago today. We all sat in my flat, my old flat, my sort of kitchen come dining room.
Mhm.
Yeah, it
lounge
was around
situation.
about this time because I had the memory on Facebook.
Yeah, I was thinking
So
it was because I remember it being a
it's-
dark evening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sat around the dining table, and I think you broke one of Amy's chairs.
I did.
To be fair, like just to clarify, those chairs, firstly, they weren't my chairs. It was a furnished flat, so they were rubbish chairs that were provided by the letting agency, but they were already kind of broken, just to say. Like,
Yeah,
It's funnier if we
thanks,
say she broke it.
Stuart.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I thought it was worth we're worth due a catch up, see what's going on in Merthyr, and hopefully you've stopped having children for just about long enough to have a chat this evening.
Yeah, only just to be fair. Scott's
We've
had
got
his
a
balls
short
done
window.
now, though.
Okay, good.
yeah,
Because that
Scott's
calmed
had
him
his
down a
balls
bit
done.
now as well. He stopped jumping off at people.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah,
And
yeah,
he's
good.
not urinating around the place like he used to either.
Yeah.
He's got lots
that's
and
good.
lots of positives of vasectomy, as it turns out. So, and he's eating more since, which is really random.
Okay. So how's it going for you? You're back running again now.
When we say back running,
Okay.
I am, but not consistently, unfortunately.
That's
Which I
fine.
need to sort out. It's not fine. It's not.
Okay,
And I have no
right.
excuse.
I was trying to be
I
nice about it.
literally
but
have
fine.
no
Okay.
excuse. I need to sort my shit out and get out there because I've got a couple of things next year. Our Reese, who we've just had, one of
Mhm.
his runs.
Well, which one are you doing?
I have no idea.
You're pacing him at Badwater.
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm the support.
Cool. Yeah, that's what you need.
Just checking all the time, making sure he hasn't shot
Yeah.
himself or
There's
anything.
shit in your shoes, Reese. Let's go. Come on. Hospital time. I can't remember which one. I think it's in July though.
Cool.
Which
So
one is
you're well
July?
prepared then.
Very, yeah. And then
You're doing
and
An ultra,
Newport
you don't know
Marathon.
which one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I just seen though that if you sign up for Pegasus and get your buddy to do it, you get a free entry. So I might do another one if I can convince someone to come along with me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worth
We'll
doing
see.
that. All the cool people doing ultras these days, so yeah, why not?
Yeah. I just think the thing with an ultra is that you have to train for it, Amy, and you're out the house a really long time. And with the amount of children I have, that can only be a plus.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
basically a day of just walking and eating. There's a bit of
Yeah.
running now and then,
And
but most of
I
it is
just-
walking and eating.
Yeah.
I was just thinking when Reece said he was in hospital for 8 hours, passed out, like that's like a dream come true to me. Like I'd be more than happy for my kidney to go into failure on an ultra if I get some time away.
Or maybe just cheat yourself on a 5K and just be rushed off to hospital.
Yeah. Oh my kidney. I could shit my shoes. Easy. I didn't know it was happening. Please
It's a
take me
good
to
tactic.
Prince Charles Hospital. Yeah.
Wow. Well, my next link here is I think still works. But a lot of people consider this podcast lowbrow for some reason. Could be things like that we just talked about. But in an attempt to alter some perceptions, we've commissioned Hannah to write a little poem for us. Although, please note that in
Oh
this
my god,
context,
I can't read it. Did I not tell you? I
you
can't
did
read
not.
it. Yeah, so I only
Oh,
had
come
half
on.
of it. Right, can we tell the story? Can we
Yeah,
bring
we
it
can,
back
yeah.
to my right? So I wrote this poem and then my dad died really unconventionally. Not unconventionally, inconveniently. It wasn't unconventional at all, he just stopped breathing. Death makes me weird.
I don't know if I can laugh about
still.
this. It's so
Yeah,
awkward.
you can totally laugh about it. So he passed away the day like I was meant to come down, and I remember messaging you. I was like, "Sorry, Stu, I'm not going to make it. My
Yeah, it
dad's
was
just died."
the live show we did in person in Cardiff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when I've just gone back over it, the end is missing. But it's quite. I think it's a little bit too inappropriate as well. I'm quite rude about a couple of things. I must have been quite angry.
Yeah.
I was pregnant and he was dying, so I feel like I should be let off.
Okay, so you were just planning to finish it that afternoon then, or just blag it on the night?
It turns out, well, no, I've lost the half of it. I
Okay.
had finished it, but that's gone out of my notes because this was over a year ago now. And then I've written like there's some really bad stuff about Prince Andrew in there. I must have been really angry. I know.
How is this?
I can
Just
relate
squeeze
to
that in.
anything. It turns out I've got this like weird obsession with Prince Andrew as well, because it's in lots of my work at the moment.
Yeah,
I've been
wow,
doing some
okay.
stand-up comedy, and that's like quite natural. You can imagine like Prince Andrew being in that, but he's
Yeah.
also in my poem about running.
I'm
Yeah.
intrigued now.
I'll tell you what, the comments dried up again once we got into this. Wow.
You'll see the tumbleweed and everything, and then I'll
Yeah.
start doing that thing where I start having 24 hours from Tulsa when I'm uncomfortable. So keep it going.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So you're
So
running.
yeah, I'm very sorry
you
about
haven't
the
got it.
commission. I thought I told you. Sorry, this is
No.
see, I've still got the 300 children to deal with,
Yeah.
so I'm
Well,
forgetting what I've told people.
well, see, luckily I was going to say that like commissioned in this context doesn't mean paid, so that's good. That's a relief to us.
Yeah,
We were going to pay you an
imagine that.
exposure, but even that is.
Yeah.
I might cut this
But
out of
I've
the
become a
podcast.
patron as well now, mind.
Oh,
since
love.
I've
Oh,
been
you've done
on
that as
live.
well.
Yeah, so you can let me off completely, I feel.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, you've just signed up during the show as well. Well done, thank you.
Yeah.
Though we are trying to get rid of people because the songs are getting too long. And
There has to
What do
be
you
a
mean?
limit,
I don't
yeah.
really understand. Do I get a song now?
well, yeah, we sing everyone. Yeah, obviously you can tell everyone that Hannah's a listener regularly here. Yeah, we sing everyone's names as a thank you in each episode, and there's now
What?
too many of you. So we're
Yeah.
trying to get rid of a few.
They're
if possible.
sometimes 3 minutes long, the songs. And it's too
Yeah,
much.
yeah, it takes a while to do. So that's going to be the end of this episode. So stick around. You can, you'll get the hang of the podcast eventually. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's the children. Please blame my children. I don't
Yeah,
get time to do anything.
I'm always happy to blame children for anything.
I've literally been sat here and I've had 4 text messages from downstairs about like sorting them out. So you're like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I just sat up on the bed.
So presumably your ultra next year is part of your fundraising as well, because I've seen a lot of stuff
yeah.
about that as well. So I'll give you a chance to talk about that because that's a big deal.
Yeah, so I'm doing a lot of fundraising for Big Moose. Big Moose are a mental health charity that are based in Cardiff but help nationwide. And they're giving out free therapy to anyone who needs it. So it's immediate intervention for anyone struggling.
Cool.
And they're doing fantastic work, really, really good work. So I'm fully behind them.
So the kind of free therapy, is that kind of at like crisis point, or is that kind of more of an intervention kind of stage?
Intervention, but
Okay.
crisis point as well. I think it really depends. I was lucky enough to have some therapy because obviously I have 3 children. I don't know whether I've mentioned that or not.
Yeah.
And I needed it basically. And I've seen the benefits. I think everybody should have therapy now. So I've seen the benefits. So I'm fully behind them fundraising. We've done lots of kindness stuff this year because I've tried to get the children involved, and obviously I had a baby in the middle of it. So we're doing lots of that. And then I think Pegasus and Big Moose have teamed up as well. I think I'm not very,
Yeah, well, you can't be a runner you can't be a runner in South Wales at the moment without seeing some link to Big Moose. They've got every running club and every runner involved in some way. I think they want to raise £1 million next year.
Yeah, no, this year.
This year. Wow.
This
so
year, by the
so if
end
you
of
are
December.
interested, they are usually called Big Moose. So they're pretty easy to find on Google. If you want to check out what they're doing and donate some money, say you can help out, please do that because that'd be fantastic.
We talk about mental health a lot on this podcast. Like we all know that running is good for mental health, but sometimes if you're really struggling, it can be hard to go out for a run, and things like therapy can help you pull you out of that state and start engaging more in like healthy habits that maintain your mental health. So hugely important.
And they found that the running community has fully got behind them, and we did a thing called Run for Good back in the summer, and it was just phenomenal how many runners have turned up as well. So it's, we know the community is good, but it's just proof.
Well, yeah, it's a while a lot of people run, and we have said before as well that running is good for your mental health, but it's not the only thing. It's not going to fix you. It'll help, but it's not going to fix you.
Yeah, this is what I keep saying as well. Like, so that therapy I had, I think 100% saved my life because of the state I was in. But it changed my life, and I think that was the important thing. Because lots of things have saved my life over the years. When I've been poorly, like I took up running because I wasn't very well, and it got me through things. But I was still hitting these sort of like roadblocks, so very important.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, Hannah. You are Hannah the Runner on social media and stuff. And if people want to look up Big Moose, please do that and see if you can help out.
Yeah, sorry about the poem.
No problem. That's fine.
I'm intrigued. I need like this is like the lost poetry.
I
Anytime-
tried to scream. I was proper angry again today though, because I was trying to sort it out, and I ended up like being really like inappropriate about Brighton Marathon, and I was like, leave
that's
them
fair.
alone.
No,
I
we
mean,
don't
they
mind that.
deserve it. So
Yeah, but then they're still humans, aren't they? You know.
humans that are taking money from people.
Cool. Okay, before we get too ranty then, thank you very much, Hannah. Hope to see you again
Thanks
soon.
for having
Hopefully we
me.
get a poem from you at some point.
Oh, I will sort this one out,
Cool.
and I will
Cool.
send
Thank
it to you.
Lovely. Thank you very much. See you
Thank
later.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
There we go. I guess talking about death a lot more than we expected today.
Yeah, on to
Let's
something
move
a
it
bit
on.
more
Let's move it on.
positive.
This is more fun. This is genuinely more fun.
Yes, our
Okay,
competition.
I'm just having a quick check here. Yeah, it is. It is fine. Yeah.
Our competition. So finally, we get to our free race places. We have
Yes.
2 free race places that we're giving away. So we offered to pay for a race to someone that made a good case and amused us as to why they wanted to run it. And we're delighted to say that our first winner is Lily Johnson, who's going to be doing God's Own Backyard Ultra in May.
Well done. She's going to love that. Here are some of the reasons that Lily did not want to do this race. First of all, she's run 2 marathons, but not an ultra, and she booked in for Brighton, so that's not gone well for her. She'd probably have to camp the night before, and that's not fun. She thinks of a backyard ultra like a massive bleep test, which it kind of is in a way, so that's also a big negative. The course is really hilly. God's Own suggests it's in Yorkshire. She's from Norfolk, so she doesn't know what hills are. And she's a medical student, and her exams finish 48 hours before the race. These are fantastic reasons to not do it, which is why we said yes. How could we say no to that?
Exactly. The camping alone, I'd be like, nah,
Nah.
Airbnb
Oh.
or nothing.
Amanda Behind. Oh, she's doing it in November, though. That's even worse. May would
Yeah.
be much nicer.
Definitely.
Amazing. Well done, Lily.
Well done. Before I get to our second winner, we just wanted to mention an entry that didn't win, but definitely still deserves to be read out, especially as it could result in a divorce. Always got to be run. So this is from John Dunn. He said he would love to do Devon Coast to Coast Ultra because it starts at Wembury, where in 1983 he proposed to his then girlfriend. So he says, she dumped me there a year later and gave me the ring back. I threw it in the sea. I no longer live in Devon, so it would be emotional to go back. The memory would hopefully propel me from the south coast of Devon to the north. And who knows, maybe fate will wash that ring back up onto the beach on the start date. In a way, it's a shame the race doesn't finish there. Don't tell my wife, though.
Great twist.
Oh, it's fantastic. I love it. But the race costs £190, so you can fuck off.
Yeah. Sorry, we're not paying 190 quid. It sounds great. Great story, but you know, we're not made of money.
No. So our second winner is Gabby Naya.
Of course.
Of course. Who is going to be doing the Beaver Challenge, which is, according to Gabby, somewhere around 15 or 27 miles, maybe.
Yeah,
she says 15 or 27.
Yeah,
one of those. It says you never know as the route changes every year. Apparently, it's a fundraiser for a local school, so has no t-shirts or medals, but lots of cake and lots of mud. So she says if it's knee-deep, it's a good year. And Gabby said in regards to the mud, she said that a guy did it last year in vapor flies and DNF'd after 2 miles.
That's what you get.
Yeah. So she says it's filthy, dirty, local, unusual, and guaranteed to generate content, which is the main thing, because that's all we want content. There will be mud, cake, sheep, cows, so many styles, manure. It's a stinker.
Yeah, I mean, we could put Gabby on a 5K track race and she could get a lot of content out of it. But I think, as Ian Thompson, it is the Beaver Challenge.
Beaver Challenge.
It's spelled like Belvoir, but it's Beaver for some reason. It's just a thing that posh people are saying it. So well
I mean, I don't think it's very posh. It's near Nottingham.
Oh God, no. Yeah, well, definitely will be then. So well done to our winners. I say winners, people that amused us. We'll be in touch soon, probably, to sort out giving you some money for races. Wow, this has gone on late, hasn't it? This is way past our bedtimes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for everyone who's hanging around for this.
we better wrap it up. What
Yeah.
have you got coming up for the rest of the year?
The rest of the year. Well, I've got a Canicross weekend. I mean, someone asked me the other day, have you got any races this year? I've got no. Oh, wait, yeah, I've got 2 this weekend, which I entirely forgot about. And then I've got another Canicross race after that in the Forest of Dean. So I'll be in Pembrey next week, or this weekend, doing 2 Canicross races, and then another Canicross race in the Forest of Dean. Should be very lovely. How about you?
Same. Well, not exactly the same, but
Not
I'm
exactly the
also doing Canicross next.
Yeah,
this
we
week.
finally got you there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's this Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sunday. So I will be dressed as an elf. That mad rant about the elf outfit wasn't just completely random. I've ordered it for Canicross. I'm going to dress as an elf.
We finally got you to Canicross. I'm delighted about that.
I know. I feel like it's going to be my first Canicross race, and I'm going to be there like as an elf. I feel like I need to go as like a bit more professional.
No, absolutely not. I believe there is a prize for costumes. So
is there? Okay, so
the
other thing I had like this thought about was because their website is so terrible, and they're a great company. It's nothing against them, but it's one of those things where they've got this bizarre website that's really difficult to navigate and a nightmare. And then when I signed up, I was like, I'm sure I read somewhere about dressing up, but then I'm also aware we're only like the first couple of weeks into December, so I'm like, am I mad? And I ordered this outfit, and then I had a moment of thinking, is it this weekend that people are dressing up, or will I be the only one dressed up as like an elf?
We'll find out.
We'll find out. But yeah, we'll find out. I'm going as an elf. Pippin, if I can find her outfit, might be a reindeer. We'll see. It's supposed to be very cold that weekend, so I think she'll appreciate being a reindeer. So yeah, that's what I do, dressing up as an elf.
Well, that's excellent. I'm very, very glad to finally get you doing some Canicross. We are very nearly finished. Thank you, everyone, for hanging on for so long. Well, before we finish, I guess we have to kind of put it in the end here. A little bit about the podcast going forward. Amy and I have had a bit of a chat about it. We've decided, 100 episodes is a lot. Best thing we can do for us both is to continue the podcast as normal next year. Hey! I bet a lot of you were really upset or excited there. Sorry, I had to put that in. That's always funny. We've got a few comments just to finish us off. Thank you very much, Danny Norman. If you see this, Stu and Amy, thanks for keeping me company tonight and over the past few years. A massive congrats on the 100 episodes. It's not easy to do, and here's to many more. Thank you very much, Danny. Yeah, Danny does 100 episodes in half the time, and having done 3 weeks in a row of with me now, I thought that was quite a lot. That's why we do fortnightly. It's much easier. Elizabeth Shaban said, congratulations on 100 episodes, Stu and Amy. Love hearing all about running in Wales. We would go further afield, but we're lazy, so we don't. And Freya's commented as well. She says, well done on getting to 100. I'll listen to the podcast for the second time at the 200th. I love the optimism there.
Yeah. What about like the podcast or our relationship?
Amanda Murray Hind, we had a go in. Excellent. That's good. Glad to hear that. Matt Garner, here's to 100 more years. I think he's a little misunderstood the frequency of this podcast, but sure. Thanks for that. And Claire Davis thought she thought we were going to say that's the end. You thought your money was wasted. Don't worry, your money's going to be well spent buying Amy a horse or a car or whatever it was we said we were going to do. I don't know, something like that. So as promised, we'll finish. We've got the main theme to finish here, but we will have the Patreon song after that. And as a bonus for the people that are watching, you'll be able to sing along with the names if you have absolutely nothing better to do.
And you can see how hard it is, okay?
Sure, you can.
Have some appreciation for how hard it is to sing the names.
Thank you very much, everyone. God, I need to go to bed. I'm a little bit tipsy as well now after all that malt cider. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye. Bye. Rachel Bullmore, Sophie Nichols, Ian Hales, Julia Page, Jonathan Carter, Elizabeth Shaban, Carl Fleming, Claire Dina. Maria Wicks, Jake Catron, Katrin Fenton, A.B. Gabby, Thomas Nair, Trish Holton, Kath Everard, James Lampert, Lou Daniel, Matt Jeziorski, Andy Robbins, Penny Simpson, Lisa Gibbon, Adam Mackinson, Matt Newbury, Rich Scum, Nikki Genders, Matt Garner, Sam Wally, Matt Jones, Gail Seal, Annie Nichols, Victoria, Magnus, Viola, Grep, Max McCartney, Greg Shepard, Matt Cameron, Jenny Camasetti, Matt Burrows, Charlie Neverson, Sandra Hines, Jay Howells, Sherry Grubbs, Kel Ryder, Clark Gilmore, Amanda Murray, Hind, Dewi, Matt Lees, David Irwin, Ian Thompson, Francis Howell, Len Martin, Dawn Shepard, Drew Edwards, Raymond Quinn, Stuart Stevens. Angela Foster Swells, Lee Wood, Paul David Chambolic, Adolf, Brian Simpson, Sophie James, Darren Roberts, Ivor Hewitt, Victoria David, Jason Spinks, Martin Clapham, Matt H, Cassie Jones, Liz Reese, Anthony Howe, Rachel Bentley, Samantha Benson, Vicky Robbins, Bernadette McCarthy, Karen Blay, Ruth KP, Gordy Thelwell, Debbie Hurley, Noms Dawson, Hannah Bye, Elliot Line,